Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 7 and 8. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. Hey, Roberts family, Pastor G here with this week's Kickstart. As you can see, I am in our chapel, a beautiful space that's been designed to help us spend time with God. And so if you haven't had the opportunity to visit this space, you might be wondering, where is that? I've never seen this space. Well, this space is located upstairs in the Golisano Community Engagement Center. If you just make it in this building, someone can point you in the right direction. But today's Kickstart is a little bit of a break from the norm because today will kind of be informational, but I want to challenge you or invite you to actually come into this space and spend some time in quiet contemplative prayer. One of the features of this room is what we're going to kind of hone in today's Kickstart. And that is this beautiful stained glass window that is a picture or a picture of Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 7 and 8. And maybe you are not familiar with contemplative prayer. Contemplative prayer is where we actively engage our mind in reflection, meditation, maybe on a passage of scripture or something in creation that reflects God, reflects how he's made the world, reflects his character, or that reflects what we read in scripture. So in the ancient church or the early church, as some of our sister churches like the Eastern Orthodox Church, when you go into their beautiful sanctuaries, you will see what they call icons. They are pictures that reflect imagery of scripture or things that has happened within the history of the church. Now, the word icon is simply another word for image. And if you notice, we are also created in the image of God. We are living icons. And so when we practice contemplative prayer, we look at these images and we meditate upon them, and somehow in reflective prayer, these images help us, and they even call out to us to be an icon, to be who you were created to be. And so today we're going to have the privilege to hear in an audio interview from the designer of this piece, Mrs. Valerie O'Hara of the Pike Stained Glass Company right here in downtown Rochester. So I would love for you to listen to her interview and then make your way over to this space as soon as you can carve out some time and spend a moment or two in quiet contemplative prayer and seeing what God will do in you.
So the process starts with a meeting with the committee, which included the president and the pastor and several other members of the board to determine a theme. And we discussed just all different subject matter, scripture, and for me, it's a way of answering to the space, but also the desires of the clients. And it was determined that we wanted something like a tree of life, and we had discussed many different scriptures, but having the tree and the rivers of water spoke to Jeremiah 17, verses 7 and 8, and it was also requested that some kind of vine-like border be included. So working with the dimensions and the other lighting requirements, because we didn't want it to be too dark in this intimate space, but we wanted to diffuse what was behind the window. Each piece is assembled one at a time, starting in one corner of each section and wrapping the lead, which is very soft. It can wrap around the pieces. Then every joint is soldered on both sides of the window, and the panels are sealed and reinforced before they're installed in the framework. I like to put a lot into it that would take a while for people to see. And like in the background, it changes from a yellowish green up to a purplish blue, very gradually. And the vines themselves change from a dark brown up into a lighter beigeier, warmer beiges and tans. And then the borders set those two elements apart from each other. And so you've got a lot of depth going on in addition to the depth of the landscape itself, in which usually the brighter colors are in the foreground, and then it gets more muted as it goes back. And that was another request, was to have it be sort of a glow from the center, so we did it as a sunset. Since we have to buy the sheets of glass, we can't just make up the colors. So the colors are already in the glass itself. So you're probably going to see about 300 or 400 colors, because there are so many subtle variations of just blue. And we buy these sheets. They're about 2 by 3 feet each, and then we cut those up into the individual pieces. So while we're selecting the colors, we have easels, just like a painter works on an easel, but the light is behind the painter. This is the only medium in the art world in which it's dependent on transmitted, not reflected light. And so the light in our easels is behind them. We put the easels in front of large windows, and we can see these colors before the whole window is assembled. I think it's very meditative because of the many-step process, the concentration you have to have. Working with such natural media that comes from the earth, sand, and silica, which is sand, and oxides make up colored glass. So it's a long process, and every time we do a commission like this, we try and do something unique for the specific request, for the specific size, and hopefully be significant for anyone who sees it for a long, long time. It's illustrating the biblical scripture.